I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Baharaka Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the Akim out there pushing the word in all sincerity and all truth. Right, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans are the descendants of the Hebrew Israelites, the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom the Lord Yahweh, whom the world ignorantly called Jehovah, right, through his son Yahweh Shai has made a covenant with and has selected and chosen to be his special people. You are those people. We have sinned grievously against the Lord over the years, but in these latter days the Lord has sent unto his people his prophets, starting with Elijah the prophet, which was John the Baptist, which in this time came in the form of a man called Abba Bivens, who reignited the truth within our nation, and now we're standing up and returning to our true nationality as Israelites, along with our people who are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. This lesson is gonna be, focused on Bacchanal, and our people celebrating that and the roots of it. It's not gonna be a very long lesson, right? A couple days ago, here in Jamaica, we had Carnival Road March, which is nothing but a Bacchanal procession, and as with all carnival, events, there is a lot of lewdness, debauchery, drinking, and that all ties back to, ancient worship, of pagan deities, starting all the way, from ancient Egypt, but we're gonna look at the roots in ancient Greece, or in ancient Rome. So let's just take a look at this article here and then get a couple of scriptures. Hopefully this lesson is edifying. So this was posted in the Gleaner a decade ago, April 10th, 2012, right? And it was posted by Lavinia McClure, which she's a Christian, but she's bringing out the information anyways. So we're going to read it. This is all information that is accurate, that you can go and research on your own. In fact, I recommend, that you go and research this information on your own, but this information that she's bringing out here is factual. Right? So Carnival comes once a year, a time for merriment and fun and drinking and dancing and whatever. Right? How did this festival start in the first place, and what brought it to us here in Jamaica? Bacchus was the god of wine, fruitfulness, fertility, and ecstasy according to the Greek mythology. Right? He was also named Dionysus, and Liber, right, was his Roman name, a word from which comes libation. Let me look up that word, libation. Right? So the word libation, right, means a drink poured out as an offering to a deity, which is why there's always some drinking going on. The secret rites of Bacchanalia, right, a festival celebrating Bacchus, goes as far back as 1400 BCE in recorded history, and probably before, right? 1400 BCE would put us, around about the time of ancient Egypt. It says the Bacchanalia or Dionysia were initially attended only by women, and later men were permitted to join. What started as a celebration 3 days each year became a weekly or even prolonged event. Women abandoned their families and took to the hills to perform their festive rites. They danced to flute and drum, dressed in skins and leaves, while under the gods' inspiration, they were believed to possess occult powers. There was a wild orgiastic meal where there were free use of wine to produce ecstasy, and animals were ripped apart with bare hands and devoured by the participants through their supernatural powers received or supplied by the god. The celebration had such a bad reputation for orgies, right, and it still does, to this day. There's a lot of sexual acts, that take place in these carnivals, especially in countries like Brazil, and other countries like Trinidad, Barbados, even here in Jamaica. You have some carnival parties that just turn straight into orgies, right? It says they were outlawed in Rome, but they were still practiced in secret for over 700 years. So to this day, the word bacchanal is used to describe a drunken orgy, right? Let's see if we can look that up, right? A wild and drunken celebration, a priest, worshipper, or follower of Bacchus, right? So if you go to the origin, it says Latin, Baccanalis, from the name of the god Bacchus. So you people are celebrating this thing. You're going out there, you're performing all kinds of lewd acts, revelry, dancing, sexual acts. And you think in your mind you're just doing it to enjoy yourself, but actually you're doing it under the spirit of this deity, this pagan god, right? It says church quote unquote saving festivals, and right, and this is some very good information that's gonna bring out now. Right, it said the Catholic Church in its early days was busy converting pagan festivals into Christian observances. Christmas and Easter are two popular examples. Yeah, because what they did, starting with Emperor Constantine, right, was the intention was to make Christianity attractive to those who followed other pagan religions, right? So in order to make Christianity attractive so other people would come and embrace it, they took different different festivals and different activities from other religions and put it into Christianity and rebranded it so that those who converted to Christianity did not feel as if they're leaving their other religion behind so much. So Christmas and Easter, as I say, were two examples of that. Which Christmas represents the winter solstice, and Easter represented the spring solstice, or the worship of the goddess Ishtar, or whatever other name, or rendition they called her. The church, in observance to the Lenten season, right, opted for abstinence from meat to remember the lean times our Lord experienced in the wilderness. The festival, which was celebrated before Lent, was Carnival. The word carnival can be traced to its medieval origins. Carnem, lavare, or carnele, lavarium, both meant to take away or remove meat. It was a time to have a final fling before the lean times when no fun or partying would be allowed. In the Catholic regions of Europe, the clergy demanded a strict break with pre-Christian ideas and practices, but the customary ceremonies and symbols were adopted with a Christianized reinterpretation. Right? Bacchanalia had always been the most popular festival practiced by the peasants, and it was incorporated into pre-Lenten carnival. The noise and music were originally to drive harmful spirits away. The mask in the masquerade were to transform the bearers into supernatural beings. Ceremonial fire and various individual abstentions, right, were to ensure the success of magic acts. All of these elements were carried over into Carnival, along with the drunken orgies for which Bacchanalia was infamous, right? Carnival had always been a standard celebration in Roman Catholic countries, but how did it came to Jamaica? Once the University of the West Indies opened in 1948, the crossovers of cultures began. Some of our small island neighbors introduced us to Carnival. First, there was Yui Carnival, which was later followed by Orange Carnival, Oak Ridge Carnival, Jamaica Carnival, Bacchanal Jamaica, Island Mass Jamaica, among many others. The main differences between Carnival in Jamaica and the other islands is that ours is solely a commercial series of events held by private entrepreneurs and has no state control or religious signification. Right, so we don't need to go any further there. So this gives you, very clear history, on the practice of Bacchanalia and Carnival, coming all the way back from ancient Greece and Rome, to what we have today. And it shows you, that this is all about a pagan deity, committing idolatry pretty much, right? So this is Psalms 106 verse 36. And this is speaking about the children of Israel, you people that are celebrating Bacchanal and Carnival and all these different things. It says, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them, and Bacchus is one of them, Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, which abortion, is pretty much child sacrifice, yo. Right? That's another way that you people sacrifice your sons and daughters unto devils, right? Unto the god Molech. There's nothing new under the sun. These gods have been recycled and rebranded in different names, and now in these quote unquote secular times, they're not openly telling you that, hey, you're sacrificing your child to this god, but that's the spirit behind it, right? And so it is with Bacchanal and Carnival. And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto idols, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a whoring with their own inventions. Therefore the wrath of the Lord kindled against his people, inasmuch that he abhorred his own inheritance, and he gave them into the hands of the heathen, and they that hated them have rule over them. And that's the present situation that we're in right now. That's the main reason why we went into captivity, in the transatlantic slave trade, yo, right? The overarching reason is to fulfill prophecy, right? But in terms of the whole narrative, it is because we sinned against the Lord, and idolatry was one of the main sins that we committed, yo. Their enemies also oppressed them, going back to the main slavery that we experienced, which was the transatlantic slave trade, yo. That was our enemies, the so-called European, the so-called white man, the Edomites, oppressing us, yo. And they were brought into subjection under their hands, right? So we're going to get here in 2nd Maccabees chapter 6, where it specifically speaks about, Bacchus, and we're going to wrap here, right? Reading from verse 1, 2nd Maccabees 6 verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God. Right? So this happened around 200 years before the Messiah came on the scene, right? When the Greek Empire, was ruling, right? And to pollute the temple of Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympus, and that in garrison of Jupiter, the defenders of strangers, they did desire to dwell in that place. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and beside that brought in things that were not lawful. The altar was filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So they outlawed, the quote unquote religion of our fathers, our culture pretty much, right? The law, statutes, and judgment, that which made us Israelites, that which made us a special people unto the Lord, right? They outlawed that, in ancient Greece, and forced, the Israelites to convert, to Greek mythologies. Right? It says, and in the days of the king's birth, every month they brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, right, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy, right? So that carnival march that they had the other day, a couple of days ago, I think on Sunday, right? That's the same thing as the procession of Bacchus, right? Moreover, they went out a decree to the neighbors of the cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers, right, of their sacrifices, and whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery, right? So our people were forced, to take on, the Greek identity, and one of those was the festival of Bacchus, which our people know glad to celebrate. So you don't know the history of why these things have been introduced to us as a people, because it's not just nowhere when we're in Jamaica, as quote unquote Jamaicans, right, which you have the tribe of Benjamin for the most part, This goes back to our captivity and our time under the ancient Greeks, right? It says, for there were 2 women brought who had circumcised their children, when they had openly led around the city, the babes hanging at their breasts, and they cast them headlong from the wall. And the others that had run together into the caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered to Philip, were all burnt together, because they made a conscience to themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. Right? Our people were burnt, for being adamant, for keeping the laws of our power, yo. Now I beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for the calamities, but that they judge those punishment not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. For it is a token of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they come to the fullness of their sin, so dealeth he with us, lest that being come to the height of sin, afterward he should take vengeance on us. And therefore he never draweth his mercy from us, though he punish us with adversity, yet doeth he never forsake his people. But let this that we have spoken be a warning to us, and now we will come to the declaration of the matter in few words. So this was a warning, yo, and our people are still in that state, So hopefully this lesson was edifying, and you got some understanding, of Bacchanal and, what this whole thing comes from, and if you're, you happen to be somebody who, celebrates or takes part in Bacchanal and Carnival and things like that, hopefully this, through the Spirit, pricks you to repent. Until next time, shalom.